Tuck Everlasting, Chapter 15. In Tree Gap, the same moonlight silvered the roof of the Touch-Me-Not cottage, but inside the lamps were burning. "That's right," said the man in the yellow suit. "I know where she is." He sat back in his chair in the Foster's spotless parlor, crossing his long, thin legs, and the suspended foot began a rhythmic jiggling. He hung his hat on his knee and smiled, his eyes nearly closed. "I followed them, you see. She's with them now. As soon as I saw they'd arrived at their destination, I turned around and came directly back. I thought you'd be staying up. You've been looking for her all day, of course. It must be quite a worry." He lifted a hand then, ignoring their exclamations, and began to smooth the thin hairs of his beard. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "I've come a long way looking for a wood exactly like the one you've got next door. It would mean a great deal to me to own it. And how pleasant to have neighbors like yourselves. Now understand, I wouldn't cut down many of the trees. I'm no barbarian, you can see that. No, just a few. You wouldn't find it different at all, really." He gestured with his long, white fingers and smiled, his face crinkling pleasantly. "We'd be good friends, I think. Why, the little girl and I, we're friends already. It would be a great relief to see her safely home again, wouldn't it?" He clicked his tongue and frowned. "Dreadful thing, kidnapping. Isn't it fortunate that I was a witness? Why, without me, you might never have heard a word. They're rough country people, the ones that took her. There's no telling what illiterates like that might do. Yes," he sighed, lifting his eyebrows and smiling again. "It looks as if I'm the only person in the whole world who knows where to find her." And then the man in the yellow suit sat forward. His long face took on a hard expression. "Now, I don't have to spell things out for people like yourselves. Some types one comes across can't seem to cut their way through any problem, and that does make things difficult. But you, I don't have to explain the situation to you. I've got what you want, and you've got what I want. Of course, you might find that child without me, but you might not find her in time. So, I want the wood, and you want the child. It's trade, a simple, clear-cut trade." He looked around at the three shocked faces, and as if he were seeing nothing there but calm agreement, he smiled delightedly and rubbed his hands together. "Done and done," he said. "I knew right away. I said to myself, now here's a group of intelligent, reasonable people. I'm seldom wrong as a judge of character, very seldom disappointed. So, all that remains is to write it up on paper, giving me the wood and to sign it. It's best, don't you agree, to keep things legal and tidy? The rest is easy. Nothing to it. You go for your local constable, and he and I ride out and bring back the child and the criminals." "No, oh no, Mr. Foster, I understand your concern, but you mustn't come along. We'll do this business my way. There now, your terrible ordeal is as good as over, isn't it? I'm so thankful I was here to help you out." So at the end of this chapter, there's some questions that might be coming to mind, or you might have some predictions about. So a couple of questions I want you to think about is, why do you think the stranger wants the wood? How can you tell that he doesn't really care about Winnie? He cares more about himself. And why do you think he makes a point to tell Winnie's dad, Mr. Foster, to tell him not to come along? Because I'm thinking that if my kid had been kidnapped and someone was going to retrieve them, I would want to go with them. But the stranger makes a point not to have her dad come along. And do you have any predictions why that is? So we're getting into some good suspenseful parts of the story. So that is the end of chapter 15.